So I can't talk about it now?
Oh, yeah.
I'll find out.
Marathon Faith, Motivation from the Greatest Endurance Runners of the Bible. I write about how men and women of faith overcame obstacles and how you can do the same.
So we're already live on Facebook, so I'm going to share it on my personal page.
I include my own life experiences about endurance running. When things get tough, let God help you endure your race so you too can finish well.
Order your copy of author John Van Pay's compelling new book, Marathon Faith, Motivation from the Greatest Endurance Runners of the Bible, at Amazon and at barnesandnoble.com.
This is Business 1110.
The following program, paid for by Right Path Real Estate, does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the staff, management, or ownership of this station. It's time to get on the right path with Right Path Real Estate Radio with Tom Perry. Get the answer to your question that's keeping you from taking action and succeeding today.
There we go.
Get ready. The guy that will put your fears behind you is on the air now. Taking calls at 713-785-1817. Toll free 877-881-0271. Now here's your host, Tom Perry.
Hot mics.
Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Right Path Real Estate Radio. We've got a call-in number, 713-785-1817. And I'm excited to be joined live in the studio with a good friend of mine, and he's also my attorney. And you know, it's rare that you can say that, you know, good friend and attorney in the same sentence, right?
Yeah, very rare.
So it's Keval Patel with Patel Law. I'd say that your specialty is real estate law. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
So don't call for divorce. Don't call for family. Don't call for adoptions. You do business law, and also real estate law. Now, I also know that, you know, when I've called attorneys before, you know, everybody goes to law school that becomes an attorney, right? Or everyone that is an attorney has gone to law school. And you learn everything about the law in law school, right? You've got to be tested over all of it.
Yeah.
But after you get out of law school, I mean, what I think a lot of people listening may not know is that you kind of have to start specializing, because the law is so broad that you can't be an expert in all of it, right? So you have to choose, hey, do I want to be an oil and gas guy? Do I want to be a medical guy? And you've chosen real estate. Yep. And what else would you say that you do besides just real estate?
I do a lot of real estate. I'm an outside general counsel for a lot of small businesses, so I do a lot of business law, and I do some estate planning, which is kind of ancillary to just the other practices.
Now I know when Jason and I were first starting Houston House Buyers, you know, we went to a particular guy that I knew from like B&I days, and he goes, well, I'm not really a litigator, and I don't really do contracts. So if you want to, he said, I don't really do like business organizations. Like if you want, so he referred me to another guy, and he goes, but you're a litigator, right? So you're how often would you say you're in the courtroom?
Probably at least 2-3 times a week, usually, just depending on the week, of course.
And what are you? I know you do evictions, right?
I do a lot of evictions.
And when, just in case people are listening and they've got an eviction, they don't want to handle themselves. What do you charge for an eviction typically?
I usually charge a flat fee, so it's $700 for a flat fee plus whatever the filing fee is, which is usually between $100 and $150.
And how big around Houston would you typically go for filing? Because you'll go to Fort Bend County, right? You'll go to all of Harris County. Do you go up to Montgomery County?
Yep.
Would you go out to Beaumont?
I wouldn't go to Beaumont. No, it wouldn't be worth it at that point. I mean, I could take it. And what I do a lot of times, if it's out of town or too far, then I'll outsource it. I'll find a local guy to go and cover it for me, and have someone local there that will go and actually go do the hearing. But I can still file it, monitor it, and take.
So you'll kind of manage it from that standpoint, but you've got a network. I mean, other attorneys in the area, maybe someone you went to school with or that you've met it, because you have to do continuing education like real estate agents do or like insurance agents do, that kind of stuff. And so I'm sure you meet, and you're a great networker, because so many attorneys that I meet, they're just like, you're not that guy.
No, I try not to be. You got to be a person as well, right? You can't just be a lawyer all the time.
Absolutely.
So you got to deal with people, and the more you deal with them, the better it becomes, right? So it's all about relationships and not being that super aggressive, over the top attorney, right? So
So how old were you when you knew that you wanted to be an attorney?
To be honest with you, I didn't really know until like it was my last year at A&M. Or my second to last year at A&M. I was 2 years engineering. I thought I wanted to be an engineer like my dad. And then 2 years halfway through A&M.
Was there a particular course in engineering that you go, you know what? Now I know this.
No, I just had a revelation. I was just like, you know what? I don't want to be my dad.
Yeah.
And
wow.
So then I switched, and I switched to liberal arts, poli-sci, at the Bush School, and then I didn't quite like that either, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And then finally I was like, you know what, I'll go to law school. And basically, I think my senior year, I decided to go to law school. So
okay, and so which law school did you go to?
I went to Thurgood Marshall here in town. So.
Okay, so you went to A&M class of?
02.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So, whoop, I have to say that, yeah. And then I also have to say beat the hell out of North Carolina State, right?
Absolutely.
Any Aggies out there, you know what all that's about? Yeah, so now that we know the bowl game that we're going to and all that, so that ought to be a good game. Yeah, that LSU game, we won't go into that.
That was great, though.
It was amazing. 7 overtimes, record-setting, and all that. Okay, so Ginger saying, question for Keval. It's Keval, but that's okay. Keval. When a buyer signs all closing docs at the title company but fails to fund, what happens now? My attorney is out of town.
So has the seller signed as well? Or I guess depending on if all the docs have been signed, then
so the buyer signed, but the buyer just hasn't funded.
They haven't funded.
So they've failed to do failed to perform, like they're in breach of contract.
They're in breach, exactly. Yeah. And you could either file suit or I mean, I guess you're depending if you're in that track contract, I think one of your remedies is just take the earnest money and run. But if you want to force the sale, you can. There's something called specific performance that you can probably force them to sell it to.
But if they don't have the money, they don't have the money, right?
There's something at that point.
Yeah. So if they've signed the contract. They've gone to and done all the closing docs. So, Ginger, are they? She says everything's signed. Are they? I assume that the title company is asking questions. In fact, Ginger, this would be because of the back and forth. Would you mind giving us a call? 713-785-1817. 713-785-1817. And let's just have this conversation. So, I mean, how many different title companies do you work with?
Oh man, I don't even know. I guess it's kind of. On any given day, title companies are very finicky, so just depending on who's willing to get the job done, right? It just kind of, I reach out to at least 5 in Sugar Land. That's where my office is. So, I mean, just whoever will do it. Yeah.
Because almost any title company will do bread and butter retail transactions where you've got, a very clear, seller of the property that maybe bought the house, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, and there's been no death in the family. There's no IRS liens or other liens like that. And so now it's a matter of just a seller selling to any title company can do that. What are some of the strange title issues that you've seen that cause title companies to have pause?
Oh man, I mean, I guess there's so many different title issues. I've come across all of them. I do a lot. I represent a lot of investors, so a lot of my clients will purchase properties at foreclosure sale.
Right.
Which, as you know, even though it is, it's clean title, but yet it's not good title and marketable title. And so what ends up happening is then you have a whole slew of other issues related to that. Once they buy it, then there's usually lawsuits involved.
Correct.
The former borrower will try to sue everybody.
Correct.
So then you have that on there, and then I guess what else have I seen? I mean,
because this is the risk that a lot of people. A lot of people ask me, Tom, do you ever buy properties at the foreclosure auction? And I say, no, I don't. And they say, well, why not? Well, there's 2 reasons why not. One is, I look at it strictly from an investment standpoint, that when, not every property, when the list comes out in the state of Texas, you've got 21 days from the day the list comes out till the actual auction happens, right? Well, all the properties on the list, I'd say more than half of them get cured between that 21-day list coming out and then the actual foreclosure happening. So you're doing due diligence on, if you do it on all the properties, you're working on a set of 25, 30, 40 properties, and it might get whittled down to 5 go to auction. Well, if I'm an investor, and let's say I'm looking for a 15% rate of return, and you're an investor looking for a 10% rate of return, you can always outbid me because you're willing to take less return.
Yeah.
Or if I'm saying I'm willing to take this much risk, and you say I'm willing to take more risk, you can always outbid me because you're willing. So whoever's willing to take the least amount of return or the most risk is always the winner at the auction. I'm like, that by design, that's a bad design from a business standpoint. So I've never really liked that. But then you also add in the risk factor that although you think you're buying, if you're buying in a first lien position, or if you're buying at the tax lien auction, you're right. Yes, you do. The tax lien is a super lien, and so now you have, quote unquote, clear title that wipes everything out, but it's not a marketable title because no title insurance company will insure that. What's the statute of limitations for wrongful foreclosure?
Wrongful foreclosure is 4 years.
Yeah.
So they'll wait until that. And not only that, if it's a tax lien also, then you also have the redemption statute, right?
Yep.
So
you have 6 months if it's not a homestead, 2 years if it's a homestead, right?
Correct.
And then 4 years for wrongful foreclosure. So it basically means you're stuck in that property for 4 years.
essentially.
Now, the workarounds are of that, if you were selling seller financing, not going through a title company, or if you were keeping it as a rental, but the risk is that you could do repairs to the property, and then you have the redemption issue, and so that
you don't get paid. It's money
right.
out of pocket.
And I've seen people, and I'm sure you have too, that think that they're like, they may have, it's a $50,000, minimum bid, so therefore it must be a first lien position on a trustee sale, and only to find out that it was a HELOC, or it was a credit card debt, or it was an HOA debt, or something else. And you're like, how is it possible that you have something that's that large not be a first lien position? And well, it certainly is possible, right? So
yeah, you definitely want to get a title report on each property, which can become very time consuming and difficult. And the other thing, like you had mentioned, is there's a lot of unknowns at foreclosure, right?
Yes.
And if you and I are bidding on a property, you could just be bidding it up in spite of me,
correct,
as opposed to any other. And so if you can't control those numbers, it's very difficult to actually make a profit, right? And
right.
I mean, you really have to know what you're doing. And nowadays, the foreclosure room has become so there's so many people in
yes.
there nowadays, and
right.
it's so competitive. And
yes.
the amount of money that other people have, it's just makes
what's their cost of capital is
correct.
Oftentimes lower. I've gone on behalf of other investors. Like one time, I was going with a group of people that they were bringing $15 to $20 million at the foreclosure auction,
wow.
and their cost of money was like 1% because big hedge fund out of Connecticut raising money on Wall Street, and they were selling bonds $500 million at a time at 1% bonds.
Yeah.
And you realize that they're bringing a backpack with $15 or $20 million worth of cashier's checks, and my cost of money is higher than 1%. Most people's are.
Yeah.
And so there again, they can buy on a 10 cap, where I need to be at a 15 or 20, and I don't even like cap rates when I'm talking about flipping houses or keeping for buy and hold. I've always said that don't use a cap rate on single family unless you have at least 400 houses in a particular market.
Okay.
That's what the hedge funds typically do as well. But then they trade on cap rates. The music in my ear tells me I'm out of time for this segment. So, Ginger, feel free to give me a call, and we'll talk on the air. The phone number is 713-785-1817. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned through the break. Thanks so much.
Mike's off.
All right, thanks.
Hello, real estate investors. Do you need a lender that moves fast at the speed of a jet to fund your investment properties? Jet Lending will help you purchase properties quickly with as little cash out of pocket as possible. Jet Lending also sets up a repair escrow fund to help you with repair costs. Jet Lending has originated over 2,000 loans in Texas, valued at over $250 million. Jet Lending will help you evaluate your deals for free and give you feedback on value, cost of repairs, and potential loan amount. Jet Lending is your fast and friendly hard money source for first-time investors and seasoned professionals. Call 281-872-7800 or email us at info@jetlending.com. Oh, and don't forget about our famous Third Wednesday Super Investor Networking Meeting. Lots of fun, lots of great real estate talk. We'll see you there.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes or binders? The agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. We're here for you. Are you a rehabber, wholesaler, buy and hold, or flipper? Bundling your properties on a single policy will help save time and money. Benchmark has been in business for over 10 years, and we insure over 30,000 properties. Contact Benchmark about our exclusive investor package. Call us and let us show you what we can do for you at 281-569-4353. That's 281-569-4353. or online at benchmarkbroker.com. That's benchmarkbroker.com. That's 281-569-4353 or online at benchmarkbroker.com.
Do you have cracks in your brick, doors that stick, or sheetrock that's coming apart? Then you may have foundation movement. Due to our expansive soils in the Houston area, it's probably not a question of if you have movement, but when. Call Foundation Check for a truly independent, unbiased foundation evaluation. Foundation Check has been in business since 2009 and has completed over 1,400 evaluations. We're not in the business of repairing foundations or selling you unnecessary peer work, but we are in the business of evaluating your foundation. Our product is designed for house flippers, landlords, or even owner-occupied properties. Each of our files is reviewed by a licensed engineer. Remember to check before every repair. Call 346-702-3825. That's 346-702-3825. Or you can reach us online at foundationcheck.com. That's foundationcheck.com.
Are you looking for
an
an
investor-friendly
1 minute and
general
Ginger's on
contractor
hold?
for
All right,
your
thanks.
investment property?
Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties. Whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab, we manage every aspect of a rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient, standardized process.
Over the last 6 years, Fast Track has completed over 700 projects, which has helped us to create our 3 keys to success. Use a detailed scope of work so that everything gets done, train and maintain quality crews so it gets done right, and complete the work in a proper order so it gets done fast.
No more managing it yourself, no more doing the work yourself. Fast Track Remodeling really does manage it all.
So give us a call today at 832-742-9992. Again, that's 832-742-9992, or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
This is Business 1110.
All right, hot mics.
Hey, welcome back. Right Path Real Estate Radio. Ginger has put the fear of calling behind her, and she's called in. Ginger from Amarillo, how's it going?
Going all right.
Hey, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
So you were asking a question. Go ahead and ask the question on the air.
I have a buyer that has gone to closing at title and failed to fund the deal.
So this is a retail buyer or this is an investor buyer?
It's an investor buyer.
So you're wholesaling the property or you're just
Wholesaling.
You're wholesaling. Now, were you doing a double close or an assignment?
No, I own it.
You own it.
Bought it.
So you bought the property, you closed on it, then you contracted with another investor. So you're wholesaling it, but you're doing a double close.
Yes.
Okay, so the buyer, they promised to buy the property for how much?
37.
For $37,000. Okay, and they signed your contract. Did you use a Trek 1 to 4?
Did.
Okay, so you used a Trek 1 to 4. Then they go to closing. They sign all the closing docs that they're going to buy it, and then they fail to fund. And their excuse is?
I have not heard one.
What? How long ago did they go to closing?
It's been. It was right before Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh! So it's been a while.
2020th, I believe.
Yeah, and so did they have an agent or no?
Yeah, we've been working. I've got an agent. She's the one that brought me the buyer.
Okay, so what does the agent say? Are they in communication with the seller?
Periodically, but she's kind of fallen down on the deal too, and she's not really helping out a lot.
So is the seller saying it's coming? It's like manana, or it's coming, or it's not coming, or
yeah, he said that it was supposed to fund last week, is what I was told,
and it still hasn't funded.
and it still has not funded.
So he obviously doesn't have the money, or at least it's not liquid. So he's either waiting to liquidate some other asset to have the cash or something like that. But the bottom line is he hasn't performed on the contract, and he's past the expiration date of the contract, right? When was the contract was good for 30 days, or was it for less than that?
Well, actually, I wound up doing an amendment because he was working on funding, and I was willing to work with him on that. So we're 2 months into it right now.
So when is the deadline based on the most recent or the latest amendment?
I would have to get my amendment. The closing was supposed to happen. Let me get my calendar. There's been so many date changes on this. I don't have my timeline in front of me right now, but it's been a couple of months.
So so he's out of contract at least a couple of months.
At least a month, I would say.
Yeah, and how much earnest money did he put down?
I only had him put $500 down because I've worked with him before.
Yeah. So.
Mistake.
Yeah. Oops. Oops.
Well, you know what you should do is take a look at, I think it's paragraph 15 on the track 1 to 4. There's a paragraph that starts with default. Look in that paragraph, and it'll tell you specifically what your options are. You may, depending on what you guys included or did not include in the agreement, you may be able to enforce specific performance, which essentially is forcing him to do it, right? But you'd have to sue him to do it.
But from a practical standpoint, we're talking about a $37,000 house. Yeah. And if he doesn't have the money, and how long? I mean, a lawsuit could take 6 months, a year.
Yeah.
He could appeal. So if he doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the money.
No, yeah.
So wouldn't it be better just to say, hey, cut bait and run, so to speak, and then, take his $500, put it back out on the market, sell it to somebody else for $37,000?
Yeah, I mean, you essentially could. It's unfortunate, though, that you're stuck in the situation because of him. And so, I mean, you do have remedies and options. You just got to weigh those pros and cons and see what the financial, I guess, consequences are. Because essentially, if you are paying an attorney, it could cost you more. But on a breach of contract, you are entitled to your attorney's fees as well. So if the individual has assets, other homes that are non-homestead, then it may be worthwhile to pursue it, because then you do actually have remedies.
He does.
Okay. So then, and maybe you just send a demand letter. Have an attorney send a demand letter demanding he fund it in X days. Maybe that'll move him in the right direction. I don't know.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, for us, it's been rare that we've had a buyer back out at the last. I mean, I can't say it's never happened, but typically we've never taken as little as $500 worth of earnest money.
Yeah.
We normally minimum of $2,500, because then they at least have some skin in the game.
Yeah, you definitely want to get a good amount of earnest money for these situations, because you never know what could happen. I mean, his circumstances may have changed.
Well, you know how we learn our lessons, folks.
Yeah. Well, there's two ways that you can learn lessons, right? From your own mistakes or the mistakes of others, right? So for all the other listeners, make sure that you don't learn this lesson the same way. So, and Billy's asking the question: is the house in Houston? I don't mind looking at it if he can't fund, and I assume that it's in Amarillo. Is that right, Billy? I mean, is that right, Ginger? Yeah, it's in Amarillo. Yeah, so Billy, it's in Amarillo. So if you want to, the beautiful metropolis of Amarillo, where the weather's always pristine, right?
Yeah.
How cold is it there in Amarillo right now?
Oh, we're in the 30s right now.
Yeah, that's
we're going to get up all the way up to 40.
Yeah, that's
wow.
Yeah. Amarillo is a great place to be from.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. All right. Well, thanks, Ginger. Thanks for giving us a call.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, so earnest money really matters. I mean, that's one of the things that we've learned, is that we're typically in a situation where multiple people are looking to get properties that we put out on the market, especially when we're wholesaling a deal. And so, I mean, I think our standard, we don't take anything less than $2,500, and we have a relatively tight time horizon when we're from the time that we're selling a property, especially something that's $37,000. It's probably it has to be a cash deal or a hard money deal anyway, and so it's not like you've got to wait for the traditional underwriting of a retail purchase or those kind of things. So most hard money lenders can fund in less than 10 days, and if it's cash, even quicker than that. So normally the thing that you have to wait on is clearing up title. And if she's already closed on it and nothing's changed since then title's not the holdup. So we've literally closed in as little as 48 hours before, especially with a cash buyer, and sometimes we've done it in as little as 24 hours. So, you know, if you're going to take that small of amount of earnest money, then it ought to be a really quick closing. That's the only reason why I can see doing something like that. Otherwise, it's $2,500 and let's close in 10 days.
Yeah.
And it's non-refundable earnest money. And so typically we don't, you know, most of the time you're supposed to go give the earnest money to the title company, but in this situation, earnest money normally comes to us because we don't want to have to jack with signing releases and all that kind of stuff. And we've never, ever failed to sell on a property or refund title or the earnest money whenever we've not been able to clear title. So
yeah, earnest money is very, I mean, a lot of times in these small instances, that may be your only remedy, right? And if you don't have anything to actually recoup, then you essentially wasted your time, right? I mean, and so, yeah, it's good to get earnest money and non-refundable. I like that. I think that's a great plan, too, because that way they can't, even if they do back out, at least you have something for your time and effort.
Well, in typical retail sale, then you have options for refunding earnest money during the option period, for example, and then secondarily, you also have it during a financing period, right? If people don't qualify for financing. But when you're talking about a $37,000 house, I mean, the investor should know that it needs everything, right? I mean, it's obviously going to be in bad shape. It needs a lot of things. And then, yeah, I could not beg my contractor to drive out there. Yeah, that's right, Billy. But you know, if you already know that you're buying the property as is, the time to do your due diligence is before you put it under contract. That's the way most investors operate. Like when I go walk a property, I'm not making an offer contingent on inspections, things like that. It's very, I can't say it's never happened, but it is so rare. It's probably happened 5 times out of 500 houses. So it's less than 1% because we've walked that many houses. We know what we're looking for, and we account for the big ticket items, which is foundation, roof, plumbing, and HVAC, and then also termites or flood or whatever, those situations. But you know those things on the front end. So I wanted to get into another topic. We were talking about it during the break. So a trespass to try title lawsuit. Describe what that is.
I guess a trespass to try title would be if you and I own, claimed ownership on one property, then essentially if we had conflicting claims of ownership, then I could file suit against you claiming that you're trespassing on my title, basically, right? And so those claims could be heirs, if you're heirs, you know, or, I mean, there's a lot of different circumstances where trespass to try title. I mean, even a lot of these foreclosures, you end up, the former borrower may file a trespass to try title suit against the third-party purchaser, right, claiming that they're trespassing on their title. And so you have many circumstances where people have conflicting claims to one property, and that's where essentially you end up in a trespass to try title suit. Okay,
so how's that different to, and we'll go ahead and start the conversation. I know we're less than 2 minutes to go before the break, but a partition lawsuit, how does that differ?
So partition is where if you buy a portion of a property or you have an ownership, like
or maybe inherited.
Or inherited,
right?
Correct. Yeah, and there's another individual that does not either want to sell to you or is unwilling, uncooperative, then you would seek to partition, which essentially, if I own 3/4 of a property, you own 1/4, we'd seek to partition my 3/4 from your 1/4, essentially sell the property, and then we both cash out. And that's another lawsuit that you would file, ask the court to essentially award you that remedy, which is to sell or pay you out, one of the two, right, depending on what the individual ends up doing.
Okay, so now you mentioned if it's 3/4, 1/4. What happens if it's 50-50? Does it work the exact same way?
It's the exact same way. Yeah, I was just using the arbitrary numbers, but it could even be 1/8 and 7/8. You never know. I mean, anything. You know, you could have less than 1% of a property. I mean, just depending on how your title or however you ended up with the property, you know, that's, you know, it could be a whole multitude.
And so how do judges typically look at a lawsuit like that? What are they actually looking at? What's the law say that they have to consider?
I mean, they have to essentially make sure that what you're claiming is accurate, right? One, that you do own it, whether you acquired that ownership through purchase or inheritance or whatever it may be. And then two, that the remedy that you're seeking is awardable, right? And they need to make sure that they can actually do it, right? Otherwise, you can't have a conflicting claim where you can't prove your ownership, essentially. Right?
Okay, the music says I'm out of time for this segment. We're going to come back and continue the conversation about partition title or petition lawsuits and trespass to try title lawsuits. You're listening to Right Path Real Estate Radio. Our number is 713-785-1817. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned through the break. We'll be right back.
Mic's off.
Cool.
You found or inherited a great investment property. Problem is, you don't know how much it's worth, or more importantly, what to do to maximize your investment while mitigating risk. This is exactly why we started Next Gen Appraisals. Next Gen is a group of appraisers specializing in investment real estate. We understand that investors aren't just looking for a number of what their property is worth, but a comprehensive analysis of the market. Give NextGen a call at 713-346-9911 or check us out online at nextgenappraisals.com.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes or binders? The agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. We're here for you. Are you a rehabber, wholesaler, buy and hold, or flipper? Bundling your properties on a single policy will help save time and money. Benchmark has been in business for over 10 years, and we insure over 30,000 properties. Contact Benchmark about our exclusive investor package. Call us and let us show you what we can do for you at 281-569-4353. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com. That's benchmarkbroker.com. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com.
Do you have cracks in your brick, doors that stick, or sheetrock that's coming apart? Then you may have foundation movement. Due to our expansive soils in the Houston area, it's probably not a question of if you have movement, but when. Call Foundation Check for a truly independent, unbiased foundation evaluation. Foundation Check has been in business since 2009 and has completed over 1,400 evaluations. We're not in the business of repairing foundations or selling you unnecessary pier work, but we are in the business of evaluating your foundation. Our product is designed for house flippers, landlords, or even owner-occupied properties. Each of our files is reviewed by a licensed engineer. Remember to check before ever repair. Call 346-702-3825. That's 346-702-3825. Or you can reach us online at foundationcheck.com. That's foundationcheck.com.
Are you looking for an investor-friendly general contractor for your investment property? Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties, whether it's a flip, rehab, or a rental rehab. No more managing it yourself. No more doing the work yourself.
And what I find is there's so many
really
mistakes
manage it all.
that
So give us a call today
investors
at
make. In my opinion, it's a difference in philosophy that reduces their rates of return.
Okay.
1 minute.
Not realizing it.
Hello, real estate investors.
Just on accident, essentially. You're
Yeah, I mean,
just not having information and knowledge, I guess.
Right.
Jet Lending will
Yeah.
help you purchase properties quickly with as little cash out of pocket as possible. Jet Lending also sets
So we talk a lot about that. So
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're just giving them good information
Yeah.
to where they can utilize it. And
Yeah. Like, how many people do you know? I mean, I know you work with a lot of investors. You probably know investors that have, like, they buy 100% cash, right?
Yeah.
And then just...
Yeah, majority of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them, they just, straight up cash. And then,
And they don't ever refinance out. They just have so much cash they're putting it to work.
yeah. But they do quick flips, a lot of them. They'll just rehab and then,
Yeah, right.
getting in and out. So the cash is not tied up too long all the time, but,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so like
Yeah.
off the air, I'll show you some math on that. You're like, oh wow.
I mean, the math makes sense. Yeah, just from what you told me. But
This
yeah.
is Business 1110.
Yeah.
All right, guys, hot mics.
Hey, welcome back. Right Path Real Estate Radio, 713-785-1817. I'm joined live in the studio with my good friend and my attorney, Keval Patel. It's Patel Law. So your website, I'll go ahead and give that out. It's patel-law.com. .com, correct?
Yeah,
Patel-law.com. Yeah, Patel-law. So Patel like the dash, and then law, law.com. And first name is not Kevin.
No.
It's Keval, Keval. So then it's Keval at Patel-law.com. All right. So you mentioned that you went to A&M, spent first 2 years undergrad, engineering, wanted to be an engineer. Actually, Dad, I assume Dad wanted you to be an engineer, right?
Of course.
And you were going to be like Dad, and about 2 years into it, you're like, I don't want to be like Dad.
No, I just couldn't do it.
Not that Dad's a bad guy or anything like that, and but just like, man, I just that's the wrong reason to go be an engineer, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys that do. You probably have some classmates from A&M days, right? That went ahead, they did that, and there's so many engineers that I know that just. Man, they enjoyed it in school, sort of, and then they did it oftentimes because that's what parents told them they should do, and then now they're in it, and it's like, man, it's not like it's easy to get an engineering degree, right?
No, it's a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's a good living. It's it's just not for me. It wasn't for me. I guess my brain doesn't work in the same manner, right? They say that engineers are very left-brained.
Yeah.
And so it's for me, I just wasn't wired that way, I guess. And
right.
So essentially, I'm glad I realized it, because it would have been worse had I finished it and then realized later on, midway through my career, that I need to make a career change, and then it would just
that's the worst situation. Is that you start climbing the ladder of success and you get near the top, and you discover it's leaning against the wrong building. Right?
Yeah,
I mean that's terrible.
And then it's too late. Then you're just miserable.
Yeah, and here's the thing people don't realize is that if you start climbing and you get to a certain point on that ladder of success, on that one, and leaning against the wrong building, it's not like you leap from the top of this building to the top of another building. You normally have to climb all the way down this ladder. You have to go across the street. You start climbing another ladder, and you're starting at the bottom again. Yeah. I mean, you don't leap to the top of the next building. So
no, and many times you have to go back to school. Which is, I mean, if you're older, and I mean, if you have kids, whatever the circumstances may be, going back to school may or may not be feasible.
Right.
I mean, if you have to make money, you need some financial stability, right? And if you go back to school, everything's gone. You're starting from scratch. And
it's tough to go to school. I mean, it's hard enough going to law school when you were a student full time, right? That's what you did. You were a full time student. But imagine trying to work and go to law school.
No, it'd be hard. Yeah. I mean, and have a family. I mean, if you had a family as well, I mean, all of that would just compound and just be very, very difficult. I don't even know. I mean, my hat's off to people that do it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And they don't make it easy, but it's not geared for everyone to pass, essentially.
Right.
So, and then you got to study for the bar, which of course it's a
I hear that's a breeze, isn't it?
Oh God, it's a walk in the park. Yeah, 3 days of fun.
Yeah, because after 3 years of school, I mean, you already know it all, right? So you just walk in and ace it.
Yep, simple, straightforward, easy. Yeah.
Easy breezy,
just bubbling, bubbling circles.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
So.
Okay, so we were talking before the break about trespass to tri-title lawsuits. So just to summarize that, it's that if two people are claiming, ownership of a property that's kind of competing with one another, right?
Yes.
That's essentially that you're saying, hey, I think I own all of this property. They claim that they own all the property. We can't really agree on who owns it. Then we need the court to settle the dispute so we can clear up the title issues, right?
Correct.
Versus a partition lawsuit where there's not really a dispute necessarily. Like, so I own 50%, you own 50%. We just can't agree with what do we do? Either we're not communicating. In fact, I have a situation like this right now that you're working on with us that have two sisters, actually stepsisters, right? Same dad, different moms. And when Dad passed away, the two stepsisters each inherited an undivided 50% interest in the property. And they could not agree with what to do with the property. One sister lives out in California. The other sister lives here in Tomball. Not giving out too much information, but that's the real story. So through one of our students, we got to know the inheriting person out in California, and they wanted to sell their interest, and were willing to do that at a discount. So we bought an undivided 1/2 interest from the person that had inherited it. So now we own half, and the other stepsister owns the other half. And they just, I've called and tried to say, hey, can we sit down? Let's talk about this. We don't even want to talk yet because we need to research what you've done. And I'm like, oh, okay, can we? I mean, you can talk and research, right? I mean, we can talk first, research later. I mean, I'm not asking you to make a decision right now, but as it's drawn out, and I mean, I finally got tired of waiting. So the remedy for me, now that I have an undivided 1/2 interest in the property, is to force them to talk, really.
Correct.
And that's a partition lawsuit, which we filed.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've tried dodging the service, which, I mean, at the end of the day, that just increases the cost, right? I mean, which is kind of silly. So what happens when somebody tries to dodge service? I mean, if anybody's ever, like, I've been served before, and you've been served, I'm sure, and so it's just, I mean, it doesn't mean that you've done something wrong just because you've been served.
Yeah. No, I mean, it doesn't make sense to dodge service because eventually they will get you, because essentially what happens is, depending on what judge you're in, what courtroom you're in, but it's usually between 4 and 6 attempts by the process server. If they're unable to serve them, then what we can do is, it's called a Rule 106, which is essentially a substitute service. We go back to the court, ask the judge to post it on the door or give it to anyone at the property, and at that point it's deemed served. So once the judge signs that order, then we give it back to the process.
So you post it on the door, and they basically, it is, so you don't actually have to hand, you see people hiding in the bushes, things like that, to try and serve somebody. It doesn't have to go to that extreme. So they do attempt that up to 6 times, and if they can't hand it to you, like, hey, you're served, like we see on TV or in a movie or things like that, all in Texas, all they really have to do is post it on the door.
Yep.
And then it's, so why don't they just start with that?
Well, it's all about notice, right?
Yeah.
And so in order to actually give people notice, you have to physically transfer the papers, right?
Right.
So that's what the process server's job is. But
if the process server is basically saying, hey, they know I'm trying to serve, but they're evading, and like they're trying not to be served, so they're aware that this is going on. Got it.
If it's very clear that they're avoiding, and the process server, you have to get an affidavit from the process server stating, I tried X amount of times, and I confirmed. A lot of times judges want you to confirm, one, that it is the residence or business or wherever you're trying to serve them of the individual in some manner. Whether it could be
talking to neighbors, right? Yeah,
it could be anything, neighbor or even mail. I mean, anything.
Yeah.
Right? So
check their mailbox, like, oh, look, it's addressed to them.
John Doe.
Yeah.
So they must live here.
Yeah.
Or make sure that someone's physically either in the business or location. So
right.
And then that way, once you get that confirmation, you get that affidavit, then if you're unable to serve them, then at that point the law just allows you to go post it, and it is deemed served essentially.
So then what happens after they're served? What happens next after that?
Then they have 20 days to roughly 20 days. It's the way that it's written is they have to answer on the Monday after the expiration of 20 days. So you could end up, depending on when you get served.
And is that calendar days? Is it actually, I mean, I assume that it's just calendar days, right?
Correct.
Because if you have any 20-day period of time, sometimes you might have a holiday in there, and that doesn't extend the 20 days. 20 days is a pretty long period of time.
Yeah.
Not like they're saying 3 business days, like on option period money or something like that. So it's 20 days. So plus how that ends on a Wednesday or on a Tuesday, that would be the worst case scenario, right? Then it's going to be the following Monday.
Correct.
All right.
Unless Monday's a holiday. Then,
okay.
Of course, then it'll toll another week. But essentially, you have to answer at that point, and you have to provide a written answer to the court. Of course, either denying or whatever your answer was stated. Maybe your affirmative defenses or whatever the claims may be.
Yeah.
Once you file that answer, then a lawsuit has essentially begun, and then you go through discovery.
Yeah.
And a lot of times on partitions, you may not need a lot of discovery,
right?
Because you may already have it. The research may already be done. Maybe there's a probate open. Maybe there's depending on what the background is.
Sure, right.
But then essentially you just move through like you would a normal trial, and then essentially either go to either move for summary judgment, where you're saying you and I own X amount, and we just want to partition and sell the property, or you end up going to trial and proving it up. And your goal is, of course, to prove that you own this and they own that, and all you need to do is basically pull your money out. And so you want to partition and sell. Either they buy you out, or vice versa, right? You buy them.
Either you buy them, they buy you, or you both sell and each take your corresponding percentage, right?
Yeah, you sell to a third party, and then
Got it.
Get your money out.
Okay, so you're listening to Right Path Real Estate Radio. Our number is 713-785-1817. That's 713-785-1817. I'm joined live in the studio by my good friend Keval Patel, and he's also my attorney. And his email address, actually his website address is patel-law.com. That's patel-law.com. His email address is keval@patel-law.com. And do you want to give out your phone number on the air?
Yeah, I mean, it's the office line is 281-313-5300.
Okay, so if you own a business and you want representation because you do that. So all different types of lawsuits that a business might get involved in, or just if you need business advice as it relates to the law, and or setting up a corporation, you do all of that as well, right? And then more specifically as it relates to all the different types of things that a real estate investor would get involved in, whether you do commercial real estate investing or residential, because I assume you work with all different types of investors. And you said a lot of people that invest at auctions, so you work with buy, fix, and flippers that are buying at auction and flip properties. You work with buy and hold investors. You work with wholesalers, I assume, and all of that. And so whether it's title issues, whether it's evicting tenants, because sometimes we've never actually had to evict a tenant that we've placed in the property.
Yeah, for 1 year. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we've bought properties where we've had to evict tenants.
Yeah.
And or sometimes we'll get a property under contract and we'll evict the tenant on behalf of the seller of the property. I remember the one up in Dallas where we contracted a property from the person that had inherited it from his parents, and so it was the son inherited the property from his parents. His grandson was actually living the property, was claiming that he owned it, so we got a power of attorney from the son to represent him, and also he had a sister, so we had a power of attorney from both of them to evict the grandson so that we could buy the property and all of that. So you do all of that. So,
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're going to, the music says I'm out of time for one more segment. We've got 4 more minutes. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll finish out the show. Thanks for listening.
Mike's off.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes or binders? The agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. We're here for you. Are you a rehabber, wholesaler, buy and hold, or flipper? Bundling your properties on a single policy will help save time and money. Benchmark has been in business for over 10 years, and we insure over 30,000 properties. Contact Benchmark about our exclusive investor package. Call us and let us show you what we can do for you at 281-569-4353. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com. That's benchmarkbroker.com. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com.
You can't clear the title.
Hello, real estate investors. Do you need a lender that moves fast at the speed of a jet to fund your investment properties? Jet Lending will help you purchase properties quickly with as little cash out of pocket as possible. Jet Lending also sets up a repair escrow fund to help you with repair costs. Jet Lending is your fast and friendly hard money source for first-time investors and seasoned professionals. Call 281-872-7800 or email us at info@jetlending.com.
Are you looking for an investor-friendly general contractor for your investment property? Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties. Whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab, we manage every aspect of a rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient, standardized process.
Over the last 6 years, Fast Track has completed over 700 projects, which has helped us to create our 3 keys to success. Use a detailed scope of work so that everything gets done, train and maintain quality crews so it gets done right, and complete the work in a proper order so it gets done fast.
No more managing it yourself, no more doing the work yourself. Fast Track Remodeling really does manage it all.
So give us a call today at 832-742-9992. Again, that's 832-742-9992, or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
You found or inherited a great investment property. Problem is, you don't know how much it's worth, or more importantly, what to do to maximize your investment while mitigating risk. This is exactly why we started Next Gen Appraisals. Next Gen is a group of appraisers specializing in investment real estate. We understand that investors aren't just looking for a number of what their property is worth, but a comprehensive analysis of the market. Give Next Gen a call at 713-346 9911 or check us out online at nextgenappraisal.com.
So where's Nikki then? Is she in the studio, I guess? Or?
Yeah, she's in the studio at Salem Broadcast, which is over like Savoy and 59.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know that there's a where Savoy is. There's that like Hilton that's right there on the Southwest Freeway, and then there's like Colorado Club, and then so there's a Wells Fargo building that's like 10 stories tall. Yeah. She's on the 10th floor of that Wells Fargo building. And they've got full blown. So all this equipment over here, this is a brick link. And so it connects through the internet. So whenever I talk, it turns green there. That shows that we have a good solid connection. So that connects us to there. So they've got a brick link on their end. So that connects us. And then this here controls like your headphone. Like if I turn this up, that turns your head. So we can have 4 headsets in here. And then this is the soundboard for levels and all that for the microphone. So like when she says you're too quiet or you're too loud, I just adjust that. That's pretty much everything.
This is Business 1110.
So this is a whole studio board now.
You guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Hot mics.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Right Path Real Estate Radio. So Chad on the Book of Faces. So for those of y'all that are listening on terrestrial radio, just want to let you know you can go to fb.com or facebook.com. That's the same thing. Go to Right Path Real Estate. Like our page. You get a chance to follow us live. So you can listen on terrestrial radio or you can also follow live. The people that are following live also get to see the video. And so Chad is asking a question. We monitor the comments. What are the steps of the purchase of acreage with mineral rights where the owner was deported and ex-wife is trying to sell? Lawyer's title is stuck on it. So we were talking about this during the break off air. So what did we discuss?
So essentially, I guess you need to determine when they got divorced, who actually owns the property.
Yeah, if it's an ex-wife, was there an actual divorce? Now, sometimes you just say, "All right, I'm done with you," and you don't actually go through the divorce proceedings. We don't recommend that, right? If you're going to get divorced, might as well get divorced. But if there's an ex-wife, we're going to assume there's a divorce, and then so have to read the divorce decree and find out who got the land, right? So if it's her that got the land, then it's pretty easy. And but here's what gets tricky is the land could be in one county and the divorce could have been in another county. And so the divorce filing is going to be in the county where the divorce was filed. And so it may be all settled in that divorce filing, but then that paperwork hasn't been filed in the county where the land is because that's where the title company is going to be looking up, right? So that's one possibility. Now, if it wasn't dealt with in the divorce decree, then we just assume it was community property and not inherited. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into this, right? Because if it was let's say she inherited it from her family, and as long as she didn't commingle it with, it's not community property because inherited property is sole and separate property, right? So, but
essentially, I mean, and if the other individual does own it and he was deported, then I mean, there's really no way to clear the title unless you can find him wherever he got deported to and get him to, pay him some money and get him to sign a deed. Otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah, and so maybe the ex-wife still stays in contact. Yeah, and in which case you can get a signature even overseas. We've had people, for example, that have gotten divorced and the seller's in Korea or they're in London or places like that. And really, what they typically have to do is go to a U.S. embassy or a consulate where there's a notary, and they can go in there and just schedule an appointment. Get the documents can be sent there and get notarized. So
1 minute.
There's he got the land. He got the land. She said they were still married when deported. So if he got the land in the divorce and she doesn't have anything to sell, you have to contact him. And so it's a matter of finding where he is, and hopefully she has a contact for that. So that answers that question. So that means that she doesn't really have anything. So when he got deported doesn't really matter. He still has. You're allowed to own land here, and still not be a resident here, right? I mean, non-residents are allowed to own land here. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to be a citizen of the United States to own land in the United States. It's different in other countries, but know the laws here. So, hey, so one more thing I want to share. So you've been listening to Right Path Real Estate Radio, and I want you to go to our website, Right Path Real Estate, where we give a free class tomorrow at 6:30 about how to build wealth through real estate. So if you want to build wealth through real estate, we've bought, fixed, and flipped over 500 houses. We teach how to buy, fix, and flip, how to wholesale, and how to buy and hold. Go to rightpathrealestate.com and get registered for free. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Thanks, Keval. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you,
Have
Tom.
a great day. All right.
I appreciate it.
All right, mic's off. You guys have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.